Hey everybody, John Granato from the bench, mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. AJ Hoffman, afternoons on the Blitz, ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Wow, AJ, I don't know. It was kind of shocking because Tillman had said, Daryl's going to make the decision on who our next basketball coach is going to be. I let basketball people make basketball decisions. He apparently has let Daryl Morey make the decision of stepping down as general manager of the Houston Rockets. The report by Woj says he walked in and said he would like to take a leave or take off. He wants to be with his daughters who are taking a year off of college. Interesting timing, interesting time for the Houston Rockets. Your initial reaction to Daryl stepping down?
My initial reaction is this is a nice way to wrap up the fact that the Morey Rockets run had kind of come to an end. I think that they don't want to have anybody with egg on their face. Man, I don't think anybody wanted to make Tillman or Daryl look bad. But I kind of expected this going back to the China tweets. And when you start costing your boss tons and tons of money, usually they're unhappy. And had Daryl gotten the results on the floor this year that Tillman had hoped for, maybe we're not having this conversation right now, but he didn't. From what I read, Daryl looks like he is going to stay on in an advisory role until they find a head coach. But this seems like maybe there's more to the story than what we're reading right now. I can't imagine Daryl Morey came in and said, I really want to spend time with my college-age kids after you worked for the Rockets the entire time they were actually growing up. It just doesn't jive to me. But I think that this organization, whatever you think of Daryl Morey, I think they needed a fresh start, and to me that's a pretty good place to tip it off.
It's interesting. I think that Tillman, I know Tillman respected him. I've talked to Tillman about it, and I think that they are in a turbulent time, though. And I think that there probably is some questions about whether or not, the direction that the organization is in. I think that it is questionable. And I think Tillman is difficult to work for. And I think because he does demand results. And I think that maybe Daryl, after being with Les Alexander, not easygoing. Les wasn't easygoing, but Les certainly was I think less demanding than Tillman is. It may have gotten to Daryl to the point where he said, I don't know that I can do everything that Tillman wants me to do. And, Tillman wants to do it at a price, too. I mean, they got rid of assistant coaches that D'Antoni. One of the reasons that D'Antoni is gone is because last offseason they cut his assistant coaches and they cut salaries and that didn't sit well with D'Antoni. And so it might be as well in the front office scene that Tillman will spend, and he'll spend on the basketball team, but he's going to run it like a restaurant and behind the scenes. So that's probably a difficult situation as well, something that you're going to have to adjust to. And it wasn't always that way, although Les was also a penny pincher behind the scenes, and he ran a tough organization as well. So maybe it is all caught up to him, or maybe, like I said, Tillman was very difficult in not winning at all, and he can be very difficult to work for, and Daryl just said, I can't do this anymore.
It's quite possible. Either way, I think that for the Rockets as an organization, do you agree that this is it's sort of a fresh start for them? New coach, new GM. It could be a good thing for this franchise?
Yeah, I do, but and a different approach. I do. I don't believe in small ball. I mean, and listen, I don't believe in giving away every draft choice. I don't believe in just star power, and that's what Daryl believed in that. Daryl has told us you got to have stars in the NBA. Well, I mean, it took a star in Toronto, obviously, but they did it with a lot of fill-in guys that were their draft picks and were good and were above average because they did their homework and they found. They found really good Pascal Siakam. He's a what, the 22nd overall pick?
Yeah.
I mean, you can do this. There are great players out there that you're finding in mid draft. So this approach of we're just giving everything away. Now, they don't have any draft picks till I think 2038 or something like that. That it's ridiculous how they gave away all of these draft picks. So that's going to be awfully difficult for the next guy that comes in here. But I just don't believe that you just abandon everything you believe in basketball-wise just because Russell Westbrook and James Harden can't coexist on the floor with a guy over 6'8". I just don't believe that.
I'm with you, and you mentioned, you needing a star. Remember, Kawhi was a star when he got to Toronto. He became a superstar in Toronto.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know that you need to have, one of the 5 biggest stars in the league on your team, much less 2 of the top 10 in order to win. I do think that you have to build a real team, and I think that became the problem. It was James and a bunch of guys around him. I don't think that's the way to win. Look back to young LeBron with just a bunch of guys around him, couldn't win. You have to build a real team, and sure, it's nice to have some star power there, but building solely built around one guy just doesn't work in 2020 anymore. And even Russell Westbrook he's brought in to be built around James Harden in a way. And like you said, changing your entire philosophy based on that didn't make sense to me. And I think now that Tillman's seen the results, it's probably not making a whole bunch of sense to him.
Well, and Daryl said too. He said, this is on me because I haven't put enough around James. I think one year they did. I think the 65-win season and the Chris Paul hamstring, that was good enough. They had enough, and they were going to beat Golden State. It had God willing, Chris Paul's hamstring doesn't snap, but it didn't happen. Now, though, I don't know that it's even possible. I mean, when you're picking up Macklemore's and Cephalosha's all on the cheap, Carmelo Anthony, all these guys that you just have to throw stuff against the wall and hope it sticks. And Macklemore did stick. He was okay for them. But you don't have the wherewithal just because of your salary cap restraints, because of how much you put into the 2 guys. You don't have the wherewithal to put it around them. You just don't. So you got to get scrap heap guys, and it's going to be almost impossible to build a winning roster with that. It just is.
So here's you as a guy who knows Tillman. Is Tillman the kind of guy who'll be willing to move James Harden, move Russell Westbrook for maybe not pennies on the dollar, but for less than what they are, and sort of start from scratch with a lower budget, team that may struggle for a few years, and then try 2 or 3 years down the road to really build this thing the right way? Is he willing to do that?
Boy, I don't know that. I just don't. Tillman likes the glitz, the glitter. He likes, but he also wants championships. This is not a championship team. It just isn't. You can definitely get rid of James Harden. How in the hell are you going to get rid of Russell Westbrook? You're not getting rid of that contract. There is absolutely. Pennies on the dollar. You can't. First of all, NBA rules are going to be you got to match salaries. How are you going to match that salary and get anything back in return? And how are you going to James's salary? Somebody will take it and give up something, but not Russell Westbrook. So you are hamstrung now. Plus all the draft picks that you gave to Oklahoma City in the Chris Paul deal. I mean, you are hamstrung for years to come with this organization. Boy, Daryl got out when the getting was good, because I don't know what you could possibly do this offseason to appease Tillman with not spend any money and make this a championship team for him. I just don't know how.
Well, Daryl and Bill O'Brien have this in common. They both left their organizations in a pretty tough spot, for many years to come, because they went all in with what they had, and right now it doesn't look like what they had is enough to do anything.